G'day, ZiggyD here, and welcome to my first look at the new turn-based tactics game Xcom Chimera Squad. This video is sponsored content, so I'll do my best to give an impartial look at the game and its mechanics first, and I'll leave my thoughts until the end. Chimera Squad is a spin-off game set after the events of Xcom 2. The game sees you take control of a new Xcom task force featuring mixed alien and human agents, with the goal of investigating various organizations that could be involved in a plasma bombing assassination of the city's mayor.
Not too shabby for our first official mission.
Don't do that.
Don't do what?
Celebrate before a mission is complete.
It's bad luck.
This is personally my first time playing an Xcom game, and while I've missed some backstory to the war and peace between humans and aliens, it was pretty clear immediately what the deal is here.
So she gets vaporized the same day Xcom sends Chimera Squad to our city? You hear that voice in your head? That's me telling you to wake up!
The peace that exists is strained. Various factions are vying for power, groups are scavenging dangerous technology left over from the war, and some are perhaps working to intentionally destabilize the peace. The choices that you make drive the story forward. You'll have to decide which organization to investigate in relation to the bombing and how to conduct that investigation through a series of missions where you can rescue hostages, take captives for intel, and deal with critical threats across the city. Missions begin with a breaching mode where you set up your agents at different entry points. Some breach points might require equipment like a breaching charge or a master key card, and each entry point can have different positive and negative effects, like surprising enemies, traps that root an agent in place, or alert enemies that will attack back if not dealt with quickly. Each agent has different weapons and gear that might make them better suited to a particular breaching situation, like a riot shield for a frontal assault or an assault rifle for a high ground flank. On top of that, agents can be upgraded with different abilities and perks to give them different options during a breach, like levitating an enemy into the air to remove them from cover, spitting acid on a tougher target, or an initiative boosting alpha strike with a shotgunner. While breaching, you'll have to prioritize dangerous targets, especially ones that are likely to attack you back during the breach itself. It's an important first step that can make a big difference in the fight to follow. Some missions even involve a room-by-room clear that can involve multiple breaching phases as you proceed through the mission. Once the breaching phase is resolved, the game will zoom back out to turn-based tactical combat. You'll have your current 4 operatives on the field alongside enemies, mission objectives, and potentially hostages or other civilians that could get caught in the crossfire. You'll have to move to cover and begin dealing with threats and working your way towards the mission objective. Like most games of its kind, cover here is super important for keeping your agents alive, and as I learned, some cover can be a liability, sometimes even downright dangerous. When it comes to dealing with enemies, you can shoot them naturally, but there's also non-lethal takedowns to take advantage of to gain extra intel from captives. There's also a pretty wide selection of abilities depending on your agents and how you've leveled them up or outfitted them between missions. Smoke grenades for cover, weapon jammers to lock down enemies, healing items, these are all common, but there's also a host of alien unique abilities like psionic powers or even the ability to constrict and incapacitate if you've got an alien snake on your team. The diversity that the Xenos agents brings to the field gives you a ton of extra options here that you wouldn't likely see with a more mundane all-human squad. As the shooting and exploding begins, the environment gets torn up and cover destroyed, which can change the tactical situation as turns go by. In some missions, even reinforcements will enter the field, which you may have to account for. Things can get pretty lethal pretty quickly, but there are always a few options to swing things in your favor. A saving grace in particular can be the new team-up ability you can use once per mission, which allows an agent to change the sacred turn order in the top right. With this ability, you can move one of your agents up the list so that they can act before the enemy to get them to safety or to take out a crucial threat. That said, in my time with the game so far, things have gone wrong a few times already. If agents are downed, they'll go into a critical condition, and if you don't stabilize them within a few turns, the mission will be failed. As I understand it, this is different to previous XCOM games where instead agents could die and you'd have to carry on without them. Keeping your agents alive here is the top mission objective, but with stabilization and a hasty retreat, you can sometimes still pull the mission off, even with a couple of downed agents, who will then be extracted. How exactly that happens, I'm unsure. This all said, you want to avoid getting your agents downed as much as possible. Heavily injured agents have a chance to receive a battle scar, giving negative effects such as lost max HP or shell shock that reduces their mental defenses. It is possible through several days of rehab to cure these afflictions, but this means the agent can't be put to work elsewhere on missions, research, or other training. Overall, mission performance is not just pass-fail here. A badly succeeded mission could see little intel gathered and scarred agents, while a well-succeeded mission could see intel gained from multiple captures, citizens spared, and agents coming out unscathed. As a newcomer to the series, it's so far been fairly challenging on the normal difficulty, and there are a wide selection of difficulty mods including Iron Man and other challenging boosting modes aimed at veterans. There's also a level of healing slider where you can heal fully, half, or not at all between missions, which will dramatically alter future missions and the importance of well-executed previous ones. With half or no healing, if you get badly wounded in some missions, the next missions may be much more difficult, and you might have to rotate other agents more often. Outside of the missions themselves, the game proceeds on a day-by-day basis, with time passing with each new mission that you do. During this time, you can research new gear and tech, set up special task forces to gather intel and funding. It's a shame that such a crucial task force seems to be so underfunded. During the downtime, you can also outfit your agents with new gear, modify their weapons and armor, increase their ranks, and choose new abilities and purchase new items. Agents can also be placed in training to improve their stats or to recover from scars, and they can be dedicated to special side missions to procure resources or assist in speeding up research. There are plenty of decisions to be made here that will affect your progression and power in future missions. Then when it comes to the actual missions each day, you'll often have multiple choices of side missions or main missions, each with different rewards and risks. You may want to take an easy mission, for example, that gives some needed resources after a particularly rough mission, so you have a bit of a chance to recover. Something that should see a nice potential boost in longevity here and replayability is that you have choices of new agents to recruit as you go, and each agent has their own stories and input on different missions. They're all fully voiced and have written out backstories. So in addition to the various other choices and your performance on the missions themselves, your choice of recruits you hire and the ones that you take on missions could vary from playthrough to playthrough by quite a bit, it seems. The game's price point is also worth a mention here for sure, because it's $15 Australian or $10 US until May, with the normal non-discounted price being $20 US. I like to keep my personal thoughts until the end of the video in sponsored pieces like this so that you can just take it or leave it at your will. The price point is lower than I'd expect for what seems like a lot of different mechanics and the potential for multiple playthroughs with different recruits and decisions in each run, and this is said to be something like a 20 hours for a single playthrough. The breaching mechanic is a very fun twist on your more typical tactics gameplay, and I like the diversity that the alien agents bring to the game. My biggest personal gripe is the zoomed in camera view when making attacks. Most of the time it's fine and actually a pretty cool piece of action with things blowing up as you take shots, but in some of the tighter indoors battles it can be quite disorienting. I'd love an option to turn off the over-the-shoulder viewpoint when making attacks in favour of staying in the bird's eye view. Overall though, I've enjoyed my first few hours of the game. I'm planning on starting a new run on stream and boosting the difficulty up a bit, even though I'm already getting thrashed as it is. And that might sound masochistic, and it is a bit. I'm excited that the game seems like it'll really make me think hard about each decision, and that it won't pull punches in punishing me for mistakes. It could be a grand old time getting murdered on a harder difficulty. Anyway folks, I hope this first look was helpful in you guys deciding whether you wanted to check it out. Please feel free to ask any questions, as I might have missed some things since this is my first time with the series, and I apologise if I missed some stuff longer term fans of the series might want to know. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.